Let Century Management Solutions get you to your next medical appointment. They specialize in non-emergency medical transportation, connecting patients to care, safety, reliability, and on time. Their advanced technology platform seamlessly coordinates patients, healthcare providers, insurers, and transportation partners all in one powerful network. With over 200 trusted transportation providers, they deliver scalable solutions backed by real-time tracking and complete transparency. Go to SENTRYMS.com.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Thursday, June 4th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine this morning. Could see some cloud cover this afternoon, the high 86. Tonight and overnight, partly cloudy, low 66. And then Friday, just a little warmer. Sun and clouds, high 89. If you are walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 55 clear in Orangeburg, up in Rockland. It's 60 and clear in Woodbridge over in New Jersey. And it's 57 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
One down for the Knicks, 3 to go to get that trophy. A frightening attack down below on the subway. Cops in Long Beach surprised by who's behind a string of break-ins. 25 years after 9/11, and lots of Americans know little about the attacks. And what kind of creep steals a donations jar that's meant for charity? All right, let's get into it. 5:04. We're going to be a little sleepless over the next couple days. I know I'm feeling that way this morning, staying up to watch the Knicks last night. Knicks clawed back, though it was worth it. From a 14-point deficit, second half, take down the Spurs, 105-95, game one of the NBA Finals from San Antonio. And Jalen Brunson led all scorers with 30 points. He sunk 13 in the fourth quarter as the team closed out the game with an 11-0 run. It was impressive last night. Victor Wembanyama, he struggled. The Knicks seemed to contain him. 26 points for San Antonio. They'll try to snap New York's 12-game post-game winning streak when Game 2 tips off from the Lone Star State on Friday. Knicks coach Mike Brown says he's glad they won, but he says it was far from a perfect game last night.
We felt we didn't play well. I'm sure San Antonio felt that they didn't play well too, and obviously it's good to learn from, especially when you didn't feel like you played well. It's good to learn from a win. In the first half, they kicked our behind in transition. They got out the way we calculated. They had 24 fast break points in the first half. In the second half, they had 9 fast break points, so we did a better job of getting back.
Victor Wembanyama, the Spurs center, he says, it wasn't a good night for him.
It's the same. Every team guards differently, I'm going to figure it out. It's, I was bad tonight. It's not more complicated than that.
So Karl Anthony Towns, he gave the best answer at the press conference last night. They said, what is it about this team that can be down and then come back? Listen how he answered this question.
What is it about this team when you guys are down big that you guys don't quit? Why do you guys have that confidence no matter how big you guys are down?
It's something that's in the city. You feel that energy in the city, the grit, the grind, the hard work you got to put in to make it in the city. I think we reflect all our fans and their lifestyles and what it takes to make it in New York City. When we step on that court with the Knicks jersey.
Yeah, that's going to make him a fan favorite. And the city is just crazy. I know normally when I take my drive in around 2:30 in the morning to come to the studios to get ready for this show, it is relatively quiet. I mean, the city's not asleep, but it's relatively quiet. This morning, there were fans everywhere. So MSG was packed last night for a watch party. There was a watch party outside MSG, and you can imagine both places, they were just going totally nuts.
It started great. It just straight up became miserable. And now we're tied into the fourth quarter. Comeback is back. We're going to take this. We're going to win.
I'm feeling good the way we came back from 14 points. We're a team of destiny. We got this. Yeah. We got this.
Yeah, and that's just after game one. Imagine if we win this thing. Bars across the tri-state, of course, just packed. The city has not seen this kind of excitement in really decades. Another big watch party was at the Summer Stage in Central Park. That was packed too.
Better than watching by yourself at home. Like this is a vibe. We're representing for New York.
Never before seen it in my lifetime. You can't imagine it.
It's amazing to watch a game with so many people. I could have watched it in my house, but when I scream, everybody screams, and it's an energy that you have to be here.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible what's going on in the city right now. Game 2 is back in San Antonio on Friday night. In a moment, we will go and head over to Midtown Manhattan, where they brought in 8 people yesterday who were involved in this retail theft ring that was pretty surprisingly cunning and stunning at the same time. We'll get into that story in just a moment. But first, 5:07, first check of traffic and transit on this early Thursday morning. Good morning, Joe Nolan.
Hey, good morning, Noam. Good morning, everybody. And there has been over the years a little bit of a hangover in the morning when it comes to people getting up early and getting into work early. And a lot of times when you have a championship run like this, the traffic in the morning is a little bit later than it normally would be. Early on. Yeah.
So you're seeing that?
Happened with the Knicks, not with the Knicks, but it happened with the Rangers, it happened with the Yankees, happened with the Mets in '86. You have people that were, you get the rush hour gets delayed a little bit.
Now, were you doing traffic 53 years ago when the Knicks won?
I was doing traffic 46 years ago.
Oh, you were? Okay, almost.
Not 53. Yeah. No. When they won in '69, I was a Cub Scout. I remember coming out of the Cub Scout meeting and walking down the steps, and my dad picked me up and he said, "Knicks are winning by 20." I was like, "What?"
That's pretty cool. WABC News Time 5:10. 8 people charged yesterday here in New York for their roles in a retail theft ring that spans several states, involved several kinds of goods from beef to copper. The Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg, says the men arrested fraudulently obtained shipping information from legitimate carriers, pretended to be those carriers, showed up at warehouses, collected all of this stuff, and then resold it and made millions on the black market.
This was no ordinary retail theft ring. We allege that the defendants impersonated legitimate trucking companies that were contracted to ship large orders of goods around the country. Instead of delivering the goods, we allege they stole them.
Yeah, this crew was pretty smart. Well, pretty smart till they got caught. So when a manufacturer wants to ship large quantities of goods, they contract with a shipping broker who advertises the job online. Shipping carriers will then make bids, and the winner gets the final shipment details from the broker. But what these crew and this 8 were able to do is they would find out that information, they would lease tractor trucks, they would affix the name and registration number of the real shipping carrier who had won the bid, and they would make pickups and grab all these items, right? Pretty smart. Then they would drive to places where they would sell these items on the black market.
The owners of the goods and the legitimate shipping companies had no idea this was occurring until after the damage was done.
Prosecutors say many of the stolen goods, which included steaks, cheese, cigarettes, were destined for small businesses that may never recover from those losses.
This type of cargo theft is not only illegal, but it directly threatens our city, compromises public safety, and drives up the cost of goods for everyone.
There were 6 of these thefts from October through April. $165,000 worth of lamb, $500,000 worth of cheese, $300,000 worth of beef, $250,000 worth of copper, and $3.3 million worth of cigarettes. 5:12, let's go up to the Bronx, where a man was found stabbed to death inside a Longwood apartment building in what investigators are now treating as a homicide. The discovery made on Longfellow Avenue, where neighbors say they had been complaining about a strong odor coming from an apartment in the building for days.
In our basement, we had a leak or whatever, so I thought it was just like mold and mildew.
Yeah, so the landlord telling News 12 that workers were renovating units when one employee went to investigate the source of the odor, which had reportedly grown stronger over time. That's when they discovered this victim inside his apartment. The landlord telling News 12 that the victim, believed to be in his 60s, had been living in the apartment with another man through one of these supportive housing programs. He believes, now police have not confirmed this, but he believes that the roommate is responsible for that 60-year-old's death. 5:13, let's go down to Washington. The House passed a measure yesterday aimed at limiting President Trump's Iran war powers. The resolution passed 215 to 208, with 4 Republicans voting yes alongside all Democrats. The measure directs the president to remove U.S. forces from conflict with Iran unless Congress votes to declare war or authorizes military force. However, apparently, it would not force President Trump to end hostilities, even if it passed by the Senate, because there are outstanding constitutional questions about this. That is, we hear more from the president about the war in Iran. By the way, if you want to know who the Republicans are who sided with the Democrats, you had Thomas Massey of Kentucky. That probably won't come as a surprise to you. Brian Fitzpatrick, Pennsylvania. Tom Barrett of Michigan, and Ohio's Warren Davidson. Meanwhile, the president says the U.S. hit Iran hard with strikes recently, but still believes a ceasefire deal, or a deal that will end this war completely, is not far away.
The negotiation itself has gone very well, actually. Very well.
President Trump said the U.S. could wipe out Iran pretty quickly if he chooses to do so, but he says he doesn't really want to see any more people die.
If anybody went there, we'll see exactly what's happening, and we'll blow it up a little bit further.
And he says it's still all about one thing: nuclear weapons and going after Iran's enriched uranium.
When it's over, as of this moment, it's agreed that we will go in with them. We will get it, and we will destroy it. It will be destroyed.
All right, so the president says if Iran signs an agreement, they will not have a nuclear weapon, so that's what they're waiting to do, get that deal done. Meanwhile, you still have this volley of missiles that took place between Israel and Hezbollah over the last 24 hours. This is even as the two sides were talking about a ceasefire. And then I see this morning again that they have stopped. They claim they're going to stop firing at each other in a bid for a final ceasefire. We'll have to wait and see if that actually happens. In a moment, we will head over to Russia, where the conflict between them and the Ukraine getting apparently worse by the day. We'll get into that conflict in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. And here's Justin Eller.
Thank you, Noah Maladen. Big Thursday morning here in New York City. Everybody rubbing the crust out of their eyes up late last night. What time did you get to bed there, Noam Laden, after that big game?
It was probably 11:30, something like that. How about you?
I think same thing,
Is that
right?
when the game ended? It was probably 11.
Right around then. Obviously, the waning moments of these big-time games, they take a while to unravel. But, man, it was exciting. You couldn't shut that action off. And that's because the Knicks' winning streak lives on. They struck first in the NBA Finals, beating the Spurs 105-95 in Game 1 to take a 1-0 series lead, erasing a 14-point second-half deficit behind 30 points from Captain Clutch Jalen Brunson. Karl Anthony Towns finished with 18 points and 12 rebounds, and OG Anunoby had 17 for New York, which has won 12 consecutive playoff games, the seventh team to have such a streak in NBA history, and is the third to do it in a single season. Brunson scored 13 points in the fourth, only 6 fewer than San Antonio managed as a team in that quarter, and sealed it with a spinning jumper while falling to the court with 38 seconds left. New York also became the first team to beat San Antonio in a Game 1 of the title series. The Spurs were 6-0 in those, and this is also the first time the Spurs have trailed the finals before the finish. It's only one game.
Really?
Yeah, it's only one game. Now everybody settle down.
Well, but they did seem to contain Victor Wembanyama, that's really the issue for the team, and they did okay, and that was just Game 1.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. Listen, Karl Anthony Towns played him well. And, the defense was there. And obviously keeping the Spurs to less than 100 points. And Victor Wembanyama keeping him in check as well. That's a huge sign in Game 1. And then keeping things close while Jalen Brunson was in the locker room dealing with that leg issue that he had after getting run into. So, supporting cast last night for the Knicks, really picking up their end of the bargain. Knicks only 3 wins away now from their first title in 53 years. They just took home court advantage away from the Spurs. Game 2 is tomorrow night in San Antonio.
By the way, I don't mean to belabor this story, but wasn't it the last time they played San Antonio, they made it to 1 game away from being the champions, and they blew the lead, if I remember right?
Well, that's a better question for one Sidney Rosenberg.
Yeah,
I was 3 years old when that happened.
Oh, that's true. And you don't remember?
No.
I'll have to look that up.
But that's a quick Google search. But you could be right.
Yeah.
Let's head to the Diamond in Seattle. Bo Bichette had 4 hits. Freddie Peralta threw 6 strong innings, and the Mets beat the Seattle Mariners 7-1 to salvage the series finale and avoid a series sweep. Bichette had his 19th career 4-hit game game, and first with the Mets, driving in 3 runs en route to the big day at the plate. Peralta allowed 1 run and 6 hits in 6 innings for New York while striking out 6. He kept Seattle 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. Up next for the Mets, an off day today before opening a 3-game weekend series tomorrow night against the Padres out in San Diego. In the Bronx, the Yankees lost a tight one 5-4 to the Guardians in the middle game of a 3-game set, dropping the first 2 and the series in the process. Slugger Aaron Judge missed his 2nd game in a row because of a bone bruise in his upper right rib that's been causing pain in his right shoulder. Saw a specialist yesterday and went back for more specific imaging. Manager Aaron Boone said there's still no timetable yet for his return. Jazz Chisholm Jr., Jose Caballero homered for the Yankees. Cody Bellinger had a pair of sac flies. Starter Garrett Cole gave up 4 runs and 6 hits with only 2 strikeouts in 5 1/3 innings. Up next for the Yankees, Carlos Rodon will get the start in this afternoon's finale of this 3-game set with New York looking to avoid being swept. First pitch scheduled for 1:35 p.m. from Yankee Stadium. And the Stanley Cup final will pick up tonight as well. Game 2 down in Carolina. Golden Knights and Hurricanes. Vegas out in front 1-0 there. That's your sports, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 520. Russia, Ukraine intensifying their attacks on each other. Correspondent Keir Simons reports Ukraine launched a drone attack on Russia's second largest city yesterday, just before a big event being hosted by Russian President Vladimir Putin.
A symbolically significant attack on Putin's home turf and on the first day of his major economic forum in St. Petersburg. President Zelensky this morning calling it a good result.
Yeah, a St. Petersburg oil terminal was among the targets. The attack came a day after Russia had launched the attack on 2 Ukrainian cities, including the capital, Kyiv.
Ukrainians, after more than 4 years of war, again huddled underground in the subway. Parts of Kyiv and Dnipro were devastated. Whole apartment blocks turned into infernos. Search and rescue teams scrambling to pull survivors from the rubble.
Yeah, you start to wonder, what's left of Ukraine after this long war? Russia claims its attacks are in retaliation for a deadly drone strike last month on a dormitory in one of Ukraine's Russian-held regions. 521, let's stay overseas. Plans for a U.S. Ebola quarantine unit in Kenya continuing to face local opposition there. Correspondent Chris Ochemringa reports hundreds of people gathered outside a military airbase where a 50-bed unit is set to be set up.
They held protests, they were burning tires, holding placards, and it was a very unruly crowd. The police and the military were deployed, and they fired shots, live rounds, and we're told 2 people died.
Yeah, there's opposition to the Americans setting up this camp. So yesterday, Kenya's High Court put plans for that facility on hold, at least until a hearing is held later this month on a legal challenge. But of course, that's time where more Ebola cases could break out. Kenya's president defending the proposal says the U.S. is a longtime partner and friend. Should let them in.
Kenya has not recorded any Ebola outbreak, so they were saying they shouldn't allow, the government shouldn't allow people who have contracted Ebola or who have been exposed to Ebola to get into their country. The Kenyan president said America is a very long-term partner of theirs who have been helping them a lot, and so they accepted this decision.
Yeah, so the thought is, of course, just to stop the spread as soon as possible. 5:22, let's bring it back home. Back down to Washington. Homeland Security Secretary Mark Wayne Mullins testifying Capitol Hill yesterday. His department been at the center of ICE immigration operations that have turned violent in some cities, the latest in Newark, New Jersey.
I have no problem with people peacefully protesting. I believe in our First Amendment. Peacefully. Delaney Hall, I've had officers bit, hit, scratched. We had one get threatened they were going to kill him and his family. That's peaceful.
Delaney Hall, of course, the place in Newark that has been the center of attention for a number of weeks now. Mullen laying out his Homeland Security budget for 2027 before the House Homeland Security Committee. He told lawmakers DHS is on track to have the primary border wall completed from the Pacific to the Gulf of America by this time next year. Pretty ambitious.
We enforce the law. And because they're doing so, it's racism. But yet their death threats are up by 8,000%. Vehicular damage is up 3,300%. Assaults up 1,300%.
Let's head over from Congress to the White House, where the president yesterday lamenting the apparent end of the so-called anti-weaponization fund he wants to set up.
The weaponization fund was a beautiful thing. It was something I was I didn't make it, but I heard that. I thought that was the greatest thing.
The $1.7 billion fund was established by the Justice Department, set to reimburse Americans who suffered weaponization and lawfare under the Biden administration. It was halted by the courts.
These are people that are great people that were destroyed. Their families have been destroyed. Many suicides. They committed suicide.
He's talking about the crowd that came on January 6th during the Capitol riot.
I believe it's the largest crowd I've ever spoken to by twice. The biggest crowd, I think, bigger than the inaugurations, bigger than anything. And there was so much love.
Now, one of the biggest issues for this weaponization fund for Democrats and some Republicans were that some of the people that took part in the January 6th Capitol riots would have gotten money from this fund. While we're hearing from the president, he was talking yesterday about the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool. There's been this project underway that he started. Apparently, it's been completed now.
We took out 12 truckloads of garbage out of this pool. It was just rotting and terrible, a terrible thing for the country.
The president says they ended up actually doing more work to the surrounding area near the pool than expected. The president says the pool pristine. Now, by the way, it has not been pristine for a long time. It looked disgusting for a while. The president touted how his administration had cleaned up Washington, D.C., just not on the streets, but these institutions like the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool. 525. Let's head over to California. They're still counting votes in the race for governor, but it looks like at the end of the day, Steve Hilton will have won the primary there, and he'll face off the way it works in California. Top two candidates move on to November. So it would be still Steve Hilton, the Republican, Javier Becerra, the Democrat, facing off against each other. Steve Hilton talking about being the biggest vote getter in California in the race for governor so far.
As I say, nothing final yet. We're going to wait for the final results. But so far, so good. We're very excited to have received the support of so many people in our state.
Yeah, even with these absentee ballots that are still being counted, even if somehow Javier Becerra takes over Hilton, he would still be in the race come November. While we're out in California, a man who was shot dead by the FBI yesterday after taking 10 people hostage in a Bakersfield, California bank building, has been identified as a convicted sex offender who apparently had grudges against law enforcement and the media. And that's why they think he took people hostage early yesterday. The FBI rescue team neutralized this individual. It was about 4:30 in the morning.
There were a total of 10 members of our community whose lives were changed yesterday. Unexpectedly, but we are thankful that they have been reunited with their loved ones after this ordeal.
Yeah, so the hostage taker at one point, he told cops that he had an explosive attached to him. That, of course, made them a little wary of running in there. Ended up that he did not.
Regarding the specific details that led up to this, at approximately 12:59 p.m. yesterday afternoon, we began receiving calls related to a suspect that was in possession of an explosive device who had entered the Chase Bank building.
Yeah, so it was not explosives. None of the hostages, thankfully, were harmed.
This is the news and talk station of New York with Sid and Friends in the morning.
They love these people in this city.
Real New York, 77 WABC. It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Thursday, June 4th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine this morning. Could see some cloud cover this afternoon, the high 86. Tonight and overnight, partly cloudy, low 66. And then Friday, just a little warmer. Sun and clouds, high 89. If you are walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 55 clear in Orangeburg, up in Rockland. It's 60 and clear in Woodbridge over in New Jersey. And it's 57 and clear right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 5:41. We're just finding out from the NYPD about a subway attack that took place on Sunday afternoon. A nurse got onto a crowded C train. This was about 2:15 in the afternoon. She was headed to work when she was attacked by this woman who was yelling things about Jews. And now we don't know a whole lot about the victim. I assume she was identifiably Jewish. And so this woman was saying all kinds of crazy things to her on the subway before she put her hands around her neck and shoved this poor nurse to the ground.
The Jews are eating kids. Did you guys smell the kids? Yeah.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Jews are eating kids. Whoa. It's okay for her to eat a kid, but I can't choke her down?
I was just assaulted.
Okay,
yeah.
The Jews are eating kids.
Yeah, so a couple of bystanders attempted to defuse the situation. Seconds later, this woman found that she had hands around her throat. She was kicking and shoving as she was shoved to the ground. Her hair was pulled so forcefully, this nurse, that a clump of it was ripped out. Now, she didn't want to talk a lot about this. She did talk to CBS News about the attack. Once the subway reached Canal Street, by the way, this woman who was attacked, she got out of the car. She called the cops' attention to the strap hanger who had attacked her, and they quickly arrested the woman.
She lunged at me. She choked me twice. She kicked me. She ripped my hair out. A hate crime against the Jewish community. This wouldn't have happened unless I was Jewish.
Yes, so the woman that was taken into custody, Diana Smith of the Bronx, we don't know if she has a history of doing things like this, but clearly she's a little bit off her rocker. That story being released, as we heard from the NYPD yesterday, that crime data shows the city had its fewest murders, shooting incidents, and shooting victims in recorded history for the first 5 months of this year. Overall, major crime decreased 10.6% citywide, with around 1,100 fewer reported crimes compared to last May. The only issue that was really up was hate crimes, as we heard in that story there. Hate crimes up 74.4% compared to the previous May, with 60% of those incidents targeting Jewish New Yorkers. 5:43, let's go out to Long Island. A Long Beach, Long Island teenager arrested for a string of burglaries and an assault with a BB gun. Cops were really surprised to find who was behind this crime. One person who had his house broken into says he was home when this 18-year-old showed up.
Just sitting around watching TV, and I heard something happen in the back of my house. Then I see him, and I yell at him. He's got a gun. So he takes off again. It looked like a real gun to me.
Yeah, so this was not, 11 at night or 2 in the morning. This was at 6 p.m. on Tuesday when he called police, that homeowner you just heard, to say that somebody had showed up with a gun. It ended up being a BB gun, but of course he didn't know that in the moment. Then they got another call that someone had stolen a bike from someone's backyard nearby, and then they got another call that a woman had faced off against this individual and had been shot. Someone had been shot. I mean, they're okay. Neighbors in Long Beach say it's normally pretty quiet there.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. I mean, especially if you see something, you don't know what it actually is. Crazy that it happened, right here. It's supposed to be a safe area and everything, but yeah, at least I got the guys.
Yeah, so police finally caught up with this 18-year-old. His name is Yoser Gomez. He's facing a whole host of charges this morning. In a moment, we will tell you about a guy who decided that it was okay to steal the donation jar meant for charity. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. And here's Justin Ellick.
Thank you, Noam Laden. Sports sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Spoilers. Go to peerlessspoilers.com. Find a deal under you. Peerless Spoilers, the world's best built boilers, of course, starting out in San Antonio. The Knicks' winning streak lives on, and they struck first in the NBA Finals, beating the Spurs 105-95 in Game 1 to take a 1-0 series lead, erasing a 14-point second-half deficit behind 30 points from Captain Clutch Jalen Brunson. Karl Anthony Towns finished with 18 points and 12 rebounds, and OG Anunoby had 17 points for New York, which has won 12 consecutive playoff games, the seventh team to have such a streak in NBA history, and is the third to do it in a single season. Brunson scored 13 points in the fourth, only 6 fewer than San Antonio managed as a team in that quarter, and sealed it with a spinning jumper while falling to the court with 38 seconds left. New York also became the first team to beat San Antonio in a Game 1 of the title series. The Spurs were 6-0 in those, and this is also the first time the Spurs have trailed the finals before the finish. It's only one game, but the Knicks are only 3 wins away from their first title in 53 years, and they just took home court advantage away from the Spurs. Game 2 tomorrow night in San Antonio. Said that a diamond in Seattle. Bo Bichette had 4 hits. Freddie Peralta threw 6 strong innings, and the Mets beat the Mariners 7-1 to salvage the series finale and avoid a series sweep. Bichette had his 19th career 4-hit game and first with the match, driving in 3 runs and around to the big day at the plate. Peralta allowed 1 run on 6 hits in 6 innings for New York while striking out 6. He kept Seattle 0 for 4 with the runners in scoring position. Up next for the Mets, an off day today before opening a 3-game weekend series tomorrow night against the Padres out in San Diego. In the Bronx, Yankees lost a tight one, 5-4 to the Guardians in the middle game of a 3-game set there. Dropping the first 2, and the series in the process. Slugger Aaron Judge missed his 2nd game in a row because of a bone bruise in his upper right rib that's been causing pain in his right shoulder. Saw a specialist yesterday and went back for more specific imaging, manager Aaron Boone said, but there's still no timetable yet for the captain's return.
So what's wrong with him?
He's got this bone bruise in his rib, and I guess when he tries to throw, clearly you got to use your ribs for anything you're doing with your upper body.
Yeah, right.
Twisting your torso, whatever it is. I mean, listen, he's had issues with, muscles. I mean, he's a big guy. So it's Aaron Judge we're talking about here. There's a lot of muscle in that big body of his. So he's had issues in the past with, keeping that middle section of his in good shape. And clearly he's got a little bone bruise here that's bothering him. And these injuries tend to linger with a bigger guy like Judge and keep him off the field for longer than you're used to. Like a bone bruise keeping a guy off the field.
Weeks, months? Or they're not saying?
We're hoping it's just weeks. They haven't put him on the IL yet. If it was going to be months, I would say, he's seen a specialist now 2 days in a row. If it was going to be months, they would know by now. But again, they hold this stuff out and see, how much time they can keep him day to day before they have to officially make that decision of wasting a roster spot and put him on the IL. So we'll see. In the coming days, they have to make that decision. So we'll keep you posted. Up next for the Yankees, Carlos Rodon will get the start in this afternoon's finale of this 3-game series with New York, looking to avoid being swept. First pitch is scheduled for 1:35 p.m. from Yankee Stadium. And the Stanley Cup Final pick-up tonight. Game 2 out in Carolina. Golden Knights and the Hurricanes. Vegas leading that series 1-0. Puck drop there, 8 p.m. Eastern. That is your sports, sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com. Find a deal under you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best-built boilers. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:50. What if I told you could buy a 4-bedroom home with ample storage, a roomy floor plan on Long Island for $700,000? You'd be like, oh my God, that's the deal of the century. There's only one big issue with it. It is the home that Joel Rifkin lived in. He murdered and dismembered several of his 17 victims there, a serial killer, if you don't remember his story. The house at 1492 Garden Street is up for sale this morning. It's actually $799,000. It sits on a corner lot, 7,000 square foot lot size. This is a huge house. I mean, normally houses in the neighborhood would go for a whole lot more money, but he carried out some of these murders between 1989 and 1993 at that home. So the question is, can you get past that to buy the home? We'll have to wait and see. This home on the market this morning. Up in Putnam County, a man is accused of keeping more than 30 dogs in some really neglected conditions. 64-year-old Kevin Burgenson's been arrested, charged with 34 counts of animal cruelty. The investigation began after the Putnam County SPCA received complaints concerning a large number of dogs at this home in Patterson.
The dogs were just about all in a state of emaciation. They were not properly fed. They didn't have the right amount of nutrition. We've made arrests for hundreds of cats, but it's never really the amount of dogs that we've seen. This individual was a breeder.
Yeah, so 34 dogs, consisting primarily of Labrador retrievers and several French bulldogs. Identified, evaluated, veterinary examinations going on. They found the majority of the dogs to be severely emaciated, showing signs of neglect. Now, if you're a breeder, it just seems odd that you would treat dogs that way if you're trying to sell them.
Working with internal medicine doctors and specialists to get everybody healthy again.
Yeah, that's a woman with a group called New Chance Animal Rescue. They're trying to rehabilitate these dogs, and then they'll put them up for adoption. 552. New York could be the first in the nation to issue a temporary statewide ban on those large-scale data centers that are very controversial. Governor Hochul wouldn't say yet whether she'll sign such legislation.
Much more should be done to ensure that communities are benefiting enormously from this, and that there's not a drain on the power sources in that area, which has been the case for too often.
The legislature is expected to vote on a bill as soon as this week that would put in place a one-year large-scale data center moratorium.
I will look at this one-year moratorium in the context of also knowing that the status quo can't continue, that much more needs to be done to derive benefits if they are in the state of New York.
Advocates say this will give the state some time to lay out rules and a plan to make sure the energy grid is protected and utility rates don't shoot up as they have in other places. While we're talking about the governor, she was talking about the World Cup yesterday, and to coincide with that, she's investing about $5 million for soccer fields in disadvantaged communities across the state.
You create the space, they will be here. And this is healthy outdoor activity. And guess what? When they're playing here, they're not playing on their cell phones.
Communities can apply to the state for the grant money. It's called the New York City Kicks program.
Because it teaches young people the power of teamwork, what it's like to play and pass off to each other and to set up an opportunity to score, not alone, but with others on a team.
And as the World Cup gets closer, we're just a little more than a week away. Everybody's trying to figure out how to cash in on this. Now, if you're really close to MetLife Stadium, maybe you have an Airbnb, a restaurant, or bar, you're trying to figure out how to do that. If you're further away, they're also trying to figure out how to make a buck. Jersey Shore officials have started a campaign to get fans to travel to South Jersey during the World Cup. They say go see a game, but then come down there to relax at the beach. Kate May, director of tourism, says they launched this Shore to Score effort with billboards, social media, print advertising, hoping they can get fans from around the world to come down to the Jersey Shore.
It's time to come 90 minutes away and come and see the beaches and all the things that we have to offer.
Yeah, so they're opening, and they're offering all kinds of deals to get people down there. 554, the New York State Senate has passed a bill that'll allow the Department of Sanitation to issue tickets using cameras that are attached to street sweepers. And this is a problem because normally it depends on who your person is in your neighborhood that does the street sweeping and the ticket writing. But a lot of times they'll come up with those little carts, those police carts, and they'll beep the horn like crazy to warn people in the neighborhood that the street sweeper is coming to get people a chance to run outside and move their cars. But now the Senate has passed this bill that would allow the Department of Sanitation to issue tickets by putting cameras on the sanitation trucks, on these trucks, these street sweepers. And if they do that, they're going to be writing a lot more tickets. Apparently, it still needs to be approved by the state assembly, but it seems everybody's on board with this plan to collect more cash from us. Down at the 9/11 Memorial and Museum, they're talking about the fact that 25 years later, there are roughly 100 million Americans who were not alive on September 11th, 2001. That doesn't seem possible, but it is. It's true. They never witnessed the terrorism or the heroism of that day. And so they're trying to figure out how to keep the story alive for the generation that did not live through it. So they've just put out a public service announcement. That's their first part of this campaign.
I wasn't there. I didn't see the planes.
Didn't search the rubble.
I'll get to say goodbye. I wasn't there.
But I lived the legacy of people who were.
Ones who never finished their shifts and stayed up.
Stayed kind. Stayed strong.
I wasn't there. I'll never forget.
Because their legacy made us who we are today.
And it's up to us to continue for tomorrow.
It is a really powerful PSA. It's part of the Memorial and Museum's Never Forget fundraising campaign, which aims to raise about $25 million. And we'll end this story, with this story out in New Jersey, where police this morning searching for a Grubhub delivery driver who stole a donation jar filled with cash from the front desk of a self-storage business. So this happened last Friday at self-storage in Deptford, where employees reviewed surveillance camera. They noticed that the jar was missing. They walked away for a moment, and this Grubhub driver had just dropped off a meal to them. And then when they looked back at the video, they were like, oh, wait a minute. It was the Grubhub driver who stole this jar that was meant for cancer research. Police say this guy wasn't too bright.
It looks like he was having a moral dilemma there for a moment, and he was really thinking, should I or shouldn't I? And I guess he had the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other shoulder, and I guess he listened a little bit too much to the devil on the shoulder, and he decided to actually take it and walk out with it.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. You're taking a jar that's meant for research for cancer or charity. It was about $98 in it, and so They have everything because there's cameras everywhere. So there's pictures of this guy, this dope, this creep. There's also pictures of his license plate in his car. So just a matter of time till they catch him.
They had just wonderful closed-circuit TV cameras throughout, inside and outside. It was pretty clear. I mean, you don't need to be Columbo to figure this one out.
No. Yeah. So just a matter of time till they catch up with him.